Some of you guys know this, some of you guys don't know this. If you don't know this, then maybe you live under a rock. But Charlie Kirk passed away. And they found the shooter. They found the person that killed him. So let's watch this video by Young Dawn about what happened with the shooter and everything. Let's
They
get
caught
into
the
it.
guy. Let's check it out.
We got him. Utah's governor finally announcing those words our country was waiting for. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips.
Took him long enough, right?
The three-day manhunt for Charlie Kirk,
3 days it
suspected
took him.
killer, comes to an end.
3 days though. 3 days. 3 days. And from what I heard that it was his dad that turned him in. Isn't that ridiculous? I mean, like, it's good, but it's like wow, you know?
And when you see who this guy is, the fact that it took him 3 days, people are talking about Mossad and shit. Fucking Israeli intelligence. This is crazy, man. This is just like a guy evaded the FBI for 3 days.
Bro, literally, I don't know if you guys saw this clip, but then there was a clip of the Utah governor or something, and he was like, yo, I'm really, like, he said that he was praying to God that it was someone else. He was like, I was praying to God that it wasn't one of us, like a white person, like they were literally praying that it was a person of color. You guys, I think I said this in my last video on this situation. If this was a person of color, oh my fucking goodness, if this was a black person, oh my gosh, if this was any other race, it would have been fucked.
Identified as 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. Officials saying Robinson's father recognized
They
him
didn't even catch him. You gonna see.
as the person of interest
Yeah, his
and told
dad
his son to
recognized
turn
him.
himself in. They say Robinson refused at first, but later changed his mind and was arrested with the help of the family's youth pastor, who is also
Notice how his dad didn't turn him in, by the way.
Oh, his dad didn't
Notice
turn him
that.
in.
I don't know if you. Let's see if they tell us who his dad is. But his dad's a pastor and a cop. And then this explains why the incarceration rate is so much higher in the black community. Because on top of the fact that black people are over policed, meaning we have more police officers patrolling black neighborhoods, obviously making it easier for them to catch criminals or criminal activity. Whereas in the white neighborhood, no cops, you get away with it. But on top of that, we see how they treat their own. This man assassinated Charlie Kirk. A mass shooting. Well, I guess you can't call it that because he only had one target and he got him. But other people, innocent people, could have got hurt. This guy's a cop and a pastor and still did not turn his son in. Right? They got the youth pastor involved. Isn't that nice?
Bro, like I said, if it was a black person, bro, they would have lynched him. They would have caught him that day. It would have been insane.
Isn't that nice?
U.S. Marshals Task Force officer. It all happened in St. George, Utah.
Says he changed his mind, they said.
Changed his mind and was arrested with the help of the family's youth pastor, who is also a U.S. Marshals Task Force officer.
Wow.
It all happened in St. George, Utah, about 260 miles from where Kirk was killed. Authorities say Robinson
That's called privilege.
was perched on a rooftop more than 100 yards from Kirk when he fired that single shot at the conservative activist as he was speaking on the campus of Utah Valley University.
Wow,
They
there
say
you go.
family
Yes.
members describe Robinson as becoming more political in recent years and had talked with his family about not liking Kirk's views. 31-year-old Kirk had become a major figure in the conservative youth movement and was even known as the Trump whisperer. The president and the governor of Utah reacting to Robinson's arrest this morning.
You guys, isn't it also crazy? Oh my gosh, this is an ad. But anyways, isn't it also crazy how like this guy was just like a regular guy? Like he wasn't even in legislation or anything.
We have him.
Sorry. He was just a regular guy talking on TikTok and they killed him for his opinions. I personally like I probably said in my last video, I don't really like one, I didn't know who he was, and two, when I started hearing like some of his opinions, I was like, yeah, okay, he might be a racist, doesn't fuck with black people, but at the same time, I do not think that you should be killed for your opinions, bro. I do not think that it's ever that deep.
In custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the.
Do you think this is the tone that Donald Trump would have if he was black? I want you to just look at his mannerisms, his facial expression, how he's communicating. Look at him.
Robinson's arrest this morning.
We have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know,
He almost seems kind of like, yeah, we got him. Yeah, we got him. So he can't be politicized in the way that he wants to. Yeah, apparently this guy, supposedly, word on the street is he's Antifa, right? He got radicalized over the last few years. He goes all the way to the left, right? Far left
Yeah.
Antifa kind of thing. Radicalized. And so you mix that ideology with his knowledge of firearms and all the practice he had hunting growing up, well, then you get a liberal sharpshooter.
getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days.
I absolutely.
Yeah. Can't
Bro,
it's
it was this video. This video is the video with the governor or whatever was saying that yes, he wishes that it wasn't one of them.
So sure they can say, yeah, he's progressive, but it just don't hit the way it would hit if it was a trans person or a black person or a Middle Eastern person or a Muslim. It won't hit the same. Like Antifa so clearly doesn't represent the majority of the left. You know what I'm saying? When you think about Antifa, you don't think about your average black guy from Georgia. You don't think of your average white chick from San Francisco or New York. You don't think of your average Mexican living in Austin, Texas. You know what I'm saying? People who you would more than like.
You guys, mind you, I'm also Nigerian. Like, I'm Nigerian. I mean, Nigerian living in Canada. So, like, when it comes to U.S. politics and all of that, I am not the most knowledgeable. I'm not the most grounded. Like, I'm watching, like, you guys, and I'm learning.
Be right in guessing they're progressive or on the left, somewhere along the lines on the left. And then when you add the fact that he is white, his dad's a pastor, his dad's a cop, he grew up in a majority white state, in a majority white city, going to majority white schools and universities.
We believe that this is a watershed in American history, yes. The question is what kind of watershed? And that chapter remains to be written. Is this the end of a dark chapter in our history or the beginning of a darker chapter in our history?
Our Jacqueline Lee has the latest for us now from Orem, Utah.
The end, huh?
We got him.
A suspect in the shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk is in custody. Investigators announcing the arrest this morning.
On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
Wow, so it doesn't even look like the father, who again is a pastor and a cop, instructed his friend to turn him in. It looks like because this youth pastor or whatever, he had a good enough conscience to say, I gotta report this. I can't just sit on this. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm an accomplice to a crime if I don't say anything.
Tyler Robinson is a 22-year-old from Utah. Law enforcement are reviewing these posts on Facebook in connection with the investigation. This update coming just hours after investigators released images and additional video of the suspect jumping from a rooftop of a building after the shooting and running into the woods.
Wow. It's crazy he didn't blow his knee out. That's a long drop.
Enforcement sources saying after recognizing his son as the person of interest, Robinson's father called a youth
He didn't even roll. It was just like straight down. That's a long drive. That must have fucked up his ankle or some shit.
pastor who was also a U.S. Marshal Task Force officer, who then had marshals take him into custody. One family member telling investigators he had become more political in recent years.
The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had.
31-year-old Kirk was hosting an event on Utah Valley University's campus Wednesday when a single shot was fired, hitting and killing the activist. Police say they found a rifle in the woods nearby.
Some people that I know celebrated this guy's death, and you're like, yes, he died, and I'm like, bro, why are you celebrating someone's death? Why? Sure, he might have had like opposing opinions as you, cool, but at the same time, why are you happy that he died? Why? How?
Investigators speaking to a roommate
He
who
had
pointed
kids,
them to
bro.
messages from Robinson.
The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point.
President Trump saying this today on Fox News.
In custody, everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job.
Our Jacqueline Lee joins me now, along with Justice Department reporter Alex Mellon and former FBI agent Brad Garrett. So, Jacqueline, what more are we learning about Tyler Robinson?
Kara, two people told ABC News that he was...
If you get stuck on a melody or if you just feel like you can't get a song started, Output's co-producer is...
He was enrolled in Dixie Technical College here in Utah, where he was working to become an electrician. And other friends have told us that he was very gifted intellectually, and they never would have imagined that he would potentially be involved in something like this. And one friend telling ABC News that he never spoke about...
I will say you have to be gifted intellectually to pull this kind of thing off, bro. Because he, like, oh my gosh. And not that I'm a criminal or anything. Please, I am not a criminal. I'm just sharing my opinions. Bro, if he did this and he just, like, drove, like, to another state or something and was on the run, he could, maybe he won't be arrested today.
Politics, really, that he was friendly, but he did keep to himself. But of course, we also heard from officials that...
I don't know why they keep mentioning that he was... I've seen a lot of people point that out, that he was smart. Isn't it the case that the most evil real-life villains throughout history have also been pretty smart,
That's what I'm
pretty
saying.
intelligent?
Yeah, you have to be
It
very
takes
smart
brains to
yeah.
commit a genocide. Right, you got to plan shit out. You got to, the trains got to get there on time and shit. If you don't do that, the furnaces get backed up, and then it's just a whole logistical mess. You got to, there's some brains involved in that. What no one's talking about though is the fact that this dude, he seemed like a little off in his head. You know what I'm saying? He seems like mentally impaired.
he became more...
like autistic.
political in the last few years, speaking to family members.
Maybe not impaired is the right word. Different.
They say that he was full of hate. So, investigators are really going to be focused on figuring out what exactly shifted for him if he is found guilty of committing this shooting, and what was the real motivation behind it, Kira?
Well, Alex, the president is already calling for Tyler Robinson to get the death penalty.
Wow.
Could his comments actually complicate the prosecution?
Well, potentially, but remember, we did hear Governor Spencer Cox in a previous press conference intimate that he would also be seeking the death penalty for whenever they did catch their suspect in this case. I think more problematic potentially were President Trump's comments to Fox News saying that he wants a more speedy trial for Tyler Robinson. That gets into the more process that prosecutors have to deal with at trial, where if they actually take deliberate moves to try and get him to trial faster, then Tyler Robinson's defense could potentially cite President Trump's words, saying that they're being, directed in a political manner. So that could definitely serve to complicate it. But more importantly, I think just the divide that we're hearing between President Trump's words on this versus Governor Cox's words at that press conference. Governor Cox was very intentional in saying that this is a moment for the entirety of the country to turn the temperature down regarding our political, disagreements, whereas President Trump in recent interviews has really focused on making this about radical left opponents of his, and kind of adding it to what he sees as a need to crack down on his political opponents.
Yeah.
So, Brad, what do you make of the way Tyler Robinson was ultimately arrested here?
Well, it's interesting in that obviously he...
Yeah, the FBI didn't catch him, by the way. That's the moral of that story.
Isn't that crazy? Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing at that. These guys have more power than me. But that's crazy.
So incompetent, he would have got away with it.
He would have.
If his dad didn't turn him in. Or if his dad didn't recognize him. Doesn't seem like anybody else recognized him. Nobody else from the school called and say, oh, yeah, that's Tyler. Nah. His dad didn't feel like saying anything, rescuing his son, I suppose you could say. He would have got away with it.
Not a kid that wanted to commit suicide. And at some point, I guess his father confronts him. And initial reporting was that he did admit it, didn't want to turn himself in, but obviously at some point changed his mind. What's going to be interesting, Kara, is what did he say to his father? And what did he say to the U.S. Marshal in the hours that he spent with each of them? Did he admit that he did it? My guess is some version of that might be true. Clearly, the text messages to his roommate to go retrieve the rifle, describing where it was, and it was wrapped in a towel. I mean,
yeah, maybe he would have got caught eventually because he texted his roommate about...
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
About that rifle.
And
his roommate could have said something as well.
Tells you about somebody who...
He said what? It was like a $100,000 bounty. Someone just got $100,000, bro. Somewhere out there.
Was very, from my perspective, intent in doing what he ultimately did, but didn't have any plan beyond that. Based on jumping off the roof, running into the woods, tossing the rifle down.
But still, so he kind of panicked. I don't know. Maybe he thought he probably would have got shot right after he did his thing. That did seem a little bit like a sloppy getaway. And he still got away. That is incredible. The people who are running the FBI, that's got to be a bad look on them, truly.
And kept moving, I guess, going back to his car and driving, presumably, back to St. George, Utah.
Incompetence, man. That's what that sounds like.
So,
because like I said, if this guy drove to another state, anywhere else, if he had a plan to travel, like the next day or something, maybe to Africa, anywhere else, he would have gone scot-free.
We don't know motive yet, but it'll come.
Yeah, man. Here, I'll show you a clip of him realizing that he got a scholarship.
Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old Utah local, confessed Friday morning to fatally shooting conservative activist Charlie Kirk, officials said. Robinson was turned in after his father recognized him.
Yeah, look at that face, man. Look at that face. Come on. You don't need to say too much. You can just look at that face. You know that he's a little different. Something's going on here, right?
In photos released by the
high functioning
FBI, and his son admitted he was the gun.
It explains his fashion as well. That's kind of how they dress.
Robinson's father asked him to turn himself in, but his son replied that he would rather kill himself. The father then convinced his son to speak with their youth minister, who called the FBI, and agents later took Robinson into custody. It's a far cry from where Tyler was only a few years.
Like, you see how the shirt fit him? This is just kind of how you know,
Years
with the
earlier.
big old baggy jeans.
A video posted by his mother and now going viral reveals the proud moment her son announced that he had received a college scholarship.
Okay. Congratulations. You have been selected to receive the Resident Presidential Scholarship from Utah State University. The value of this scholarship is approximately $32,000. This scholarship is available for 4 years or 8 semesters.
Yeah, so right there, you can see in the face, and is how you that's an 18-year-old who just received a scholarship to university. That's not how 18-year-olds really behave or act, or you know what I'm saying. So does that then make him more susceptible to radicalizing ideas? We know that schools, universities are typically more liberal, even in conservative states like Utah. You're going to be exposed to ideas, progressive and liberal, liberating ideas that you probably wouldn't have heard growing up if your dad's a cop and a
Yeah.
pastor and you're Mormon. But when you're not mentally all the way there, obviously that leaves you vulnerable to going down extremist rabbit holes. And this happens on both sides. Ultimately, what I think both sides could learn from this situation, besides the fact that collectively as a country, we all need to calm the fuck down with the way that we speak about one another. Anyone with clout or influence, they need to be careful not to speak in such a way as to rile people up or
Anyways, I'm going to end the video there. And to conclude, he's right. I was talking to one of my friends last night, and I literally told her that freedom of speech is definitely a thing. It's, you know, it's is the First Amendment. I think that it is very, very important that we keep freedom of speech. But at the same time, I'm not dumb. There was a point in my life that like I used to just like open my mouth and say whatever, always voice out my opinion. But at the same time, when you voice out your opinion all the time, always have in mind that someone else is going to have an opposing opinion. A lot of people are opinionated, and a lot of people cannot handle other people having a different opinion. So since I know that, I don't just talk. Like before I talk, I always think, I'm like, yo, would someone hate me if I said this? And if the answer is yes, I just keep it to myself. Because at the end of the day, me voicing out my opinion, it doesn't put money in my pocket sometimes. It doesn't do nothing for me. But anyways, you guys, that's the end of the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm coming through.